In Beyond Freedom and Dignity, B.F. Skinner argues that traditional notions of freedom and dignity are outdated in the modern world. Instead, he proposes a new approach to behavior control based on scientific principles. In Chapter 1, The Problem of Control, Skinner examines how our current methods for controlling human behavior have failed us due to their reliance on punishment or reward systems which do not take into account individual differences between people nor provide any long-term solutions. He then introduces his own theory, operant conditioning, as an alternative way forward by showing how it can be used to modify behaviors through positive reinforcement rather than coercion or manipulation. Finally, he outlines some practical applications of this method, such as teaching machines and token economies within institutions like prisons or schools, where they could potentially lead to more effective outcomes with fewer negative side effects compared with existing approaches. Chapter 2 of Beyond Freedom and Dignity by B.F. Skinner discusses the science of behavior. He begins with a discussion on how traditional psychology has been focused primarily on mental processes, such as thinking or feeling, rather than observable behaviors. This focus is misguided because it does not take into account that all behavior can be explained in terms of its consequences, either positive reinforcement, rewards, or negative reinforcement, punishments. Skinner then goes on to discuss his own theory, operant conditioning, which states that an individual's response to any given situation will depend upon what happens after they respond. If something good follows their action, then they are more likely to repeat this same action again in future situations. Finally, he explains why free will cannot exist within this framework. Since our actions are determined by external factors beyond our control, we do not have true freedom over them, but instead must accept responsibility for whatever results from those choices made under these conditions. In Chapter 3, Skinner discusses the technology of control. He explains that behavior is controlled by its consequences and can be shaped through reinforcement or punishment. Reinforcement increases a response while punishment decreases it. Both are used to modify behavior in order to achieve desired outcomes. Skinner argues that this type of behavioral engineering should replace traditional methods such as moral education, which rely on guilt and fear for their effectiveness. He also suggests ways in which society could use these principles more effectively, including providing incentives for desirable behaviors rather than punishing undesirable ones, using positive reinforcements instead of negative punishments when possible, and creating an environment where people feel safe enough to take risks without worrying about failure or retribution from authority figures. Finally, he concludes with his belief that if we embrace this new approach, then our lives will become richer because we will have greater freedom due to increased understanding of how human beings respond best under different conditions. Chapter 4 of Beyond Freedom and Dignity by B.F. Skinner focuses on the design of a culture. He argues that it is possible to create an environment in which people can live happily, without having to rely upon freedom or dignity as motivators for behavior. To do this, he suggests using operant conditioning techniques such as positive reinforcement and shaping behaviors through rewards rather than punishments. Additionally, Skinner proposes creating cultural norms based around reinforcing desirable behaviors instead of punishing undesirable ones. These could include rewarding cooperation over competition or providing incentives for creativity rather than conformity. Finally, he emphasizes the importance of teaching children from a young age how their actions affect others so they learn appropriate social skills early on in life, something that will help them become successful members both within society at large and within any particular organization they may join later down the line. Chapter 5 of Beyond Freedom and Dignity by B.F. Skinner discusses the control of human behavior. He argues that it is possible to modify people's behavior through reinforcement, punishment, extinction, or shaping techniques in order to achieve desired outcomes. The chapter also examines how these methods can be used for social engineering purposes such as reducing crime rates or improving educational performance. Additionally, he looks at potential ethical issues associated with controlling humans' behaviors, including autonomy and dignity concerns, as well as questions about who should have access to this technology and what limits should exist on its use. Finally, Skinner suggests ways in which society could benefit from using behavioral modification technologies while still respecting individual rights and freedoms. In Chapter 6 of Beyond Freedom and Dignity, B.F. Skinner discusses the control of human nature through operant conditioning techniques such as shaping behavior with reinforcement or punishment. He argues that these methods can be used to modify undesirable behaviors in individuals without resorting to coercion or manipulation by external forces like governments or religious institutions. Additionally, he suggests that this type of behavioral modification could lead to a more peaceful society since it would eliminate aggression caused by frustration due to lack of understanding about how one's own actions affect others around them. Finally, Skinner emphasizes the importance for people who are attempting any kind of social engineering project, such as those involving education, should understand both sides what is being done and why it is being done so they can make informed decisions on whether their efforts will have positive outcomes for all involved parties. In Chapter 7 of Beyond Freedom and Dignity, B.F. Skinner discusses the control of human values as a means to improve society. He argues that by controlling our environment we can shape behavior in ways which will lead us towards desirable outcomes such as increased happiness or improved health. To do this, he suggests using operant conditioning techniques like positive reinforcement and punishment to modify behaviors so they are more likely to produce desired results over time. Additionally, Skinner proposes creating an engineering science based on principles from psychology which would allow for better prediction and manipulation of social systems with greater precision than ever before possible, thus allowing humans even further control over their own destiny through environmental design rather than relying solely upon individual choice alone, which is often limited. Finally, he concludes his chapter by noting how these methods could be used not only within individuals but also between them, leading ultimately toward a world where people have much less need for freedom because all necessary conditions needed for success already exist around them due largely thanks advances made in engineering sciences related specifically designed environments tailored just right according to each person's unique needs/desires at any given moment. Chapter 8 of Beyond Freedom and Dignity by B.F. Skinner discusses the control of human motivation. He argues that behavior is determined not only by external forces, but also internal ones such as drives or needs. To effectively motivate people to behave in a certain way, it is important for an individual's environment to be structured so that desired behaviors are reinforced while undesired behaviors are punished or ignored. This can be done through positive reinforcement, rewarding desirable actions, and negative reinforcement, removing undesirable consequences. Additionally, punishment should never replace rewards, instead they should work together with one another in order to create lasting change within individuals' motivations towards particular activities or goals. Finally, Skinner suggests using shaping techniques which involve gradually reinforcing closer approximations of the desired behavior until it becomes habitualized over time without any further need for reward-based incentives. Chapter 9 of Beyond Freedom and Dignity by B.F. Skinner discusses the control of human development. He argues that behavior is shaped through reinforcement, which can be used to modify existing behaviors or create new ones in order to achieve desired outcomes. This process involves identifying a target behavior, providing positive reinforcements when it occurs and removing negative reinforcers when it does not occur. The chapter also examines how this approach has been applied successfully in various areas such as education, healthcare, and criminal justice systems with great success. Finally, he concludes that if we are able to use these principles effectively, then we will have greater control over our own destiny than ever before possible. Chapter 10 of Beyond Freedom and Dignity by B.F. Skinner discusses the control of human evolution. He argues that, in order to improve our species, we must use technology as a tool for controlling behavior. This includes using techniques such as genetic engineering and artificial selection to create better humans with improved physical characteristics or mental abilities. Additionally, he suggests that education should be used more effectively so people can learn how their own behaviors affect others around them. This would lead to an increase in social responsibility among individuals, which could ultimately result in greater harmony within society at large. Finally, Skinner proposes creating new forms of reinforcement systems based on rewards rather than punishments. These reward-based reinforcements are thought to encourage positive behavior while discouraging negative actions from occurring again. In Chapter 11 of Beyond Freedom and Dignity, B.F. Skinner discusses the control of human destiny through behavior modification techniques such as positive reinforcement and shaping. He argues that these methods can be used to create a better society by changing people's behaviors in order to reduce crime, poverty, war, and other social ills. By using operant conditioning principles like reward systems for desired actions or punishments for undesired ones, we can shape our environment into one where everyone is able to reach their full potential without fear or oppression from others. Furthermore, he suggests that this type of behavioral engineering could also help us achieve greater levels of happiness, since it would allow individuals more freedom over how they live their lives while still providing them with necessary guidance when needed so as not to stray too far off course from what is socially acceptable/desirable behavior-wise. Ultimately, Skinner believes that if properly implemented, then his proposed system has the power both improve individuals' quality life on an interpersonal level but also have wider implications which will benefit humanity at large, allowing us all take back some measured control over our own destinies rather than leaving it up chance alone determine who succeeds and fails within any given situation, thus creating a fairer world overall. Outro. In conclusion, B.F. Skinner's ideas about controlling human destiny are revolutionary yet practical, offering real solutions towards achieving true equality amongst mankind regardless race, gender, etc. With proper implementation, there no doubt great potential here make lasting changes across many aspects modern day living, something worth striving for.